Good morning. Today is Friday, June the 2nd, 2023. As you saw in yesterday's video, I made the attach brackets yesterday. One thing that I didn't really talk about was how I transferred the shape onto the raw material from this piece of angle. Basically, on the plans, it's a half scale, the drawing of it. So I just took the PDF and printed it at 200%, measured it to make sure that it printed the right shape, and then I cut out a couple of templates and laid them on the pieces and kind of worked there as a starting point. So anyways, yesterday's work. Today's work is going to begin with same ribs, root ribs, and cutting a giant hole right here for access. And I'm going to be using a tool here that I've never used before, and it has a terrible reputation. So if you're watching this right now, it means that I didn't kill myself with the fly cutter today. We're going to see how this goes and then decide after that where we go from here. But the focus of today is just going to be getting this bit of action started. It will ultimately lead to an access plate that is backed by this somewhere on there. Anyways, that's it. Today is episode 58. This year is flying by. We're already into June. So thanks for being here. Let's have fun. Let's build an airplane if we can.
This day ended up to be 6 hours, which seems to be the theme lately. 6 hours minus research time, which there was probably 2 hours of that today. I'll get more to that later. But right now, I'm just trying to measure for that cutout that we're going to do. There's the shape of a circle drawn back there, which I already showed to you, and basically the inside diameter of that ring is the same as the outside diameter of that circle that you see right there on the back of the rib. And you might be wondering, why am I starting with this? With the why am I not setting the web of the rib just flat on the bottom? Well, the instructions for the fly cutter is to get a clean cut, start on one side, flip it over, and do the other. So I figured it would be best to start right here, get it cutting a little bit, make the hole in the middle, then flip it over and finish it. But that's not really how it worked. This thing is freaking violent. And while I'm happy to have my hand-me-down drill press, it's not the highest quality machine in the world. Once I got this thing going, that thing moves around so much because, I mean, there's a lot of, off-balance weight spinning around at a high velocity. But you can see that the drill bit tip gets wild and wobbly. So making sure everything is tight, and when I finally go in there to do this thing, look at how much that thing moves. So tools are falling off the table and everything. So I adjusted a million times. I carefully measured the center mark there, but what I found out was it's just as easy to bring the material, in this instance, bring the material over to the table and just swing by hand, swing the cutting blade around its radius and check the position in every location and make your adjustments from there. Putting a mark in the center is kind of unnecessary. So here we go. Get smart, flip it over. Let's just try to get this cut done. This is the first rib that I did. I do want to say one thing. This one cut a little bit wide. I cut these little wood blocks so I get the clamps on there and get this thing really solid. Then when I try to do this one, again, you can see the whole head of the drill press is moving. That thing loosened up both of those set screws, so I'm really trying to make sure that those things are locked down. I do get a successful cut on here, although it seems like the table, the drill press table, is not completely perpendicular to the bit. So I think that it cut maybe 3/4 of the way around, a little bit more. And I had to finish it with the Dremel. I didn't want to risk using that. This is the second one here. I've learned my lesson. Sped up, it looks really smooth. In real life, it's ridiculous. I hate this tool. Anyways, yeah, they're done. I said that the one hole was a little bit wide because when that thing is swinging around, it tends to flex out a little bit by about 1/16 of an inch, which didn't really cause a problem. There's pretty generous room on that, on the ring that will be attached. So edge distance, even taking 1/16 away, edge distance isn't a concern. And also, this is really just to hold some nut plates and an access plate on. This is not a structural type of item, but regardless, plenty of room. So, yeah, what you saw me doing there was you start with the access plate, get it clamped on in a particular orientation, and then use those holes as a guide to drill the holes into the web of the rib. And then you cleco on the ring through those holes. Those holes are the screw holes that are for the nut plates. And the problem is I don't have clecos that will hold that number 19 hole. So what I do, and you might pick up on at some point, I cut a bunch of little, call them coupons, little pieces, little squares of aluminum that I drill to a number 30, and then I use those as a backer. So I can put the cleco through one side, and then on the other side, put the little coupon on there to hold the pieces together. Sort of a mini kind of pass-through clamp. That's how I made that work. Once all of that is done, then you use the ring, which you see on the bottom of the screen right there. You once that's clecoed in place, then you use that to drill all of the holes for the nut plate, the little number 40 holes all the way around for the nut plate. Yeah, I left a whole big portion out of this video because it was really irrelevant when I said that I spent about an hour and a half or 2 hours doing research. On the back table in the plans, you see that little blue AN fitting. The plans have you do all the drilling here, and then it has you get into mounting the fuel pickup on the access plate. And I realize I don't have the right tools or the skills or knowledge to do that yet. So I spent a lot of time doing that, and I realized I'm wasting my time. I don't have a flaring tool, a bending tool, any of that sort of thing. I need to get those. So I decided to come back to mounting the access plate reinforcement ring, which means countersinking all those holes so that the back of it can fit flush against the web, and then riveting on all of those plates. I think it's 12 per ring. So I did go ahead and order the tools I need to start working with those AN fittings, but I do need to sit down and just learn more about that process so that yeah, it's a new thing for me. So here, I'm not priming this. This will be inside the tank, but I am getting it super duper clean before I start riveting this business together. And then this is pretty. This was a long day of small work, but I don't know. Anytime you get to set rivets, it's a good day. So. Yep, here we go. Finishing up, setting all of those rivets. One rivet, believe it or not, this is so easy, and I still managed to mess one up, and not how you would think. I didn't tip it over or do anything weird like that, but as I was flipping this material over, you can see that I have all of the nut plates, one cleco in, and I'm just working my way around. And then I put a rivet in one, squeezed it, and it felt funny, and I flipped it over and realized that the nut plate had moved out of the way, and I just put a rivet in an empty hole. So, yeah, I didn't include the bonus footage of redoing that one. I mean, it's very simple. Things like this are not very hard to work with because you can manipulate it quite easily. So, yeah, that's the end of the day and episode 58. I think coming up here in a few seconds, I'll show you the finished product with this access ring. And then today I'll get started on more work on the access plate and the fuel cap flange. So should be fun. Thanks for watching. And there you go.